First, started with the movie Iron Man, and the last to play in theaters was Ant-Man and the Wasp. How many MCU movies have shown on the big screen so far?
I think I saw something like 20, 23?
I'm going to give you some choices.
Okay.
So the answers I have A, 20, B, 26, C, 31, D, 34.
And this is today.
As of today.
You said 26?
So 26.
26.
20.
Oh, damn.
Yeah, this is a tricky one because it's only the MCU, and so movies like Deadpool is not part of the MCU.
Yeah.
They're Marvel movies, but not MCU movies.
Yeah. I gotcha.
So sorry about the trickery. Yeah, that was a good tricky. All right, number 3 is we on break. You and I were having a conversation about dealing with something that you've done in your past and it coming back to haunt you.
Right.
So here's a question, and then we can discuss what we were talking about outside.
Yep.
All right. Number 3. James Gunn, director of such great films as Guardians of the Galaxy, Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, and Super, which is not one of those Marvel movies, but it's a great superhero movie.
Yeah.
If you haven't seen it out there, Netflix, Super, go watch that movie and thank me later. All right, so James Gunn was fired by Disney before filming Guardians of the Galaxy 3 for behavior not in line with the Disney image. Though many actors have come to his defense, Disney will not bring him back. What was the cause of James Gunn's firing?
He talked about, I think it was like child.
I'm going to give you the 4 choices.
Okay, go for it.
A, sexual harassment. B, obscene tweets. C, substance abuse. Or D, publicly shaming Disney.
Obscene tweets.
Obscene tweets is correct.
Right.
I put down one of his tweets. This one's not as bad as the other one. Most of his stuff talks about rape, masturbation, and pedophilia.
Right.
So this is on October 22nd, 2009. He tweeted, wondering which Disneyland character would be the worst to get raped by. I think it's Goofy, but Sleepy would suck too. So here's a James Gunn apology. He said, I viewed myself as a provocateur, making movies and telling jokes that were outrageous and taboo.
Right.
And if you look at the tweets, they were definitely outrageous and taboo.
Right.
Even with context, it seemed like inappropriate.
Right.
So he's dealing with this where he's fired because
Right.
of something he did back in 2009.
Right. So I think we were talking about this, and I said it's...
You talked mob mentality.
Right.
Where they just attack because there's this whole movement going around where if you do something wrong, there's a big crowd of people that just want you fired. They want to see damage. They want to see something happen.
Right. And I think I talked about, I think there's, if you're currently hired by a company and when you're hired, they want you to maintain a certain image, a certain thing.
Sure.
I think you're both under agreement that...
Especially Disney,
right? That's what you need to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
The stuff that he did, that he posted or whatever, he wasn't currently employed by Disney. So I think that coming after him for something that he did back then, that is not something that can be considered a crime today. You know what I mean? Like,
it wouldn't even be so much of a crime back in 2009. It was more inappropriate.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
yeah.
It wasn't I think there's a separation of, like, what we're talking about, like, you know, if you actually committed a crime that can be, you know, that proves that you're not unfit to hold that job, you know?
Right.
That'd be totally different. But this is just some behavior that he did when he was 10 years, like almost 10 years ago.
Right.
He's totally a different person now anyway. We all probably made jokes 10 years ago that were not with the same mentality that we have now as a society. We've learned certain things, you know, to be more sensitive about, like, with that, like that joke, that tweet. You might have the privilege of like laughing about it, but I understand someone might not have the privilege of laughing out if they were a victim of sexual assault or something like that. And we can be, now we know that we have to be careful about, you know, other people. We can be careful about other people's feelings, just like we did back then. Back then in 2009, we probably didn't joke about certain things, knowing that it wasn't the right. But we've also evolved now from 10 years ago to understand that what we say has an impact on other people. Right. And I'm sure now he would think twice about making those tweets because he would. I mean, he's a different person now. Take any comedian, and even the most outspokenly having
like Andrew Dice Clay with his chauvinistic comedy that was hilarious back when I was little.
Even
wouldn't
Seinfeld,
land
like
it
we were
did
talking
now.
about, like Friends and stuff like that, or even the most politically correct people right now. Like even I remember Sarah Silverman. She's like very outspoken.
Yeah.
For many different social justice stuff, you know, and her jokes 10 years ago are not the jokes she would tell now, and she's talked about that, and many comedians have talked about that stuff. Seth Rogen, he's talked about, like, man, I used to make a lot of homophobic jokes thinking they were funny to me because he wasn't impacted by that stuff,
Yeah.
So now he's like, I've learned that's, I've changed my jokes, I've evolved with my jokes, and I think that we're holding him accountable for. They're judging him for something that happened when the world wasn't the way that it was now as aware, I'm not saying it wasn't wrong for you or whatever it might be. I mean, even the joke itself, if you can compartmentalize, because you have the privilege to compartmentalize knowing this is a joke and it's not meant to harm anybody.
Mm-hmm.
But if you were harmed by something, like rape or anything like that, of course it's going to maybe offend you or you feel is inappropriate, right?
Exactly.
And you're in your right not to want to hear it. But you're asking for someone to have your same mentality, and it's going to be tough if you don't have that conversation,
Right.
So, again, mob mentality, if we get into this aggressive, and all you do is polarize people. You polarize, and now it's like, I can't say anything now, instead of helping them understand why it's hurtful to you or whatever it may be. And you might say, well, it's not my job to, but it's fine, it's not your job. But again, how do you how is that person supposed to like progress to knowing what you mean, what you feel,
Exactly.
So
yeah,
I think that it's really unfair that he is not able to have a living, do his job. I mean, I'm sure he's rich and everything, but it's still that his love of movies and passion is impacted.
We enjoyed his movies. Well, I enjoyed Guardians of the Galaxy 1 and 2.
Right.
I enjoyed Super. He has this ability to work with these actors, make this film amazing, and I'm sure there's other directors out there that'll do as good of a job. But I enjoyed his movies, and I wanted to see his Volume 3.
Right.
And that was taken away because of something that happened in 2009. That, like you said, it was a different time back then, and he's a different person now today.
And even again, and I know this might be, but even this joke, right, that he considered a joke, right? Someone that hasn't experienced that might laugh, and it doesn't mean that we don't respect your hurt, you're being offended or being hurt by it. You know what I mean? But it doesn't necessarily have to be your experience, and you can learn that, hey man, we that's not a cool thing to talk about in front of me. You know what I mean?
Now he knows, and he'll be more careful about his tweets in the future.
Right. We talked about that. You'll only laugh if you laugh at a joke if you have the privilege to laugh at that joke. If you experience some traumatic experience or loss, it's not going to be funny for you.
This would be a great conversation to continue on another episode because I don't want to derail too much from the superheroes.
Okay.
But we'll come back to this on another episode because it is a great conversation. We should get people that have more knowledge to also join us.
Okay.
All right. So I'm going to get a bonus question for you.
Go for it.
Because you're already doing so well. So
okay.
Bonus question.
Actually, I got them all wrong so far.
No, you got one right.
Oh yeah. Okay.
You got one right, and you were pretty close with the Marvel movie. I mean, that was a tough one.
Okay. Let's go.
Okay, bonus question. Which actor was so inspired by comic, he changed his name for Hollywood and later starred in his own Marvel movie?
Read it again? Yeah.
Which actor was so inspired by a comic, he changed his name for Hollywood and later starred in his own Marvel movie? I'll give you a hint. This is a Marvel character that he changed, that he was so inspired by that he used his name.
Trying to think. Hold on. Trying to go through all the Marvel movies.
I'm going to give you a hint. If you can't figure it out, I'll give you another hint.
Okay. Let me go through the Marvel movies. It's Iron Man, Robert Downey Jr. That's not it. Captain America. Okay, go for it. What is it?
Okay. So your second hint is the movie that he starred in. It's called Ghost Rider.
What, Nicolas Cage?
Yeah. Nicolas Cage came from Luke Cage. He was so inspired by Luke Cage that he changed his name to Nicolas Cage.
Are you serious?
Nicholas Coppola.
What? That's right. He's a Coppola.
Yeah.
We covered that last time, right?
Well, yeah, but I think we talked about Nick Cage, something else. But yeah.
That's crazy. I didn't know that.
Yep.
Well, and Luke Cage was never that. Well, I never knew him as that a popular hero. He was popular at one point, but
yeah,
that's cool.
Yes, that's pretty cool trivia right there. All right, so you did well. You got the one right. I consider you already a winner.
Oh, thank you.
What other movies have you seen of?
Well, you didn't talk about Infinity War, which is like the big one.
Let me tell you my issue with Infinity War. I went to go see it at this theater, and halfway through the movie, the sound dropped out to where it sounded like it was coming out of a phone speaker. And apparently, I was the only person that can hear the problem because no one else complained, and I was too lazy to get up and go say something.
Oh, you didn't get your money back?
No, I was furious afterwards. So I just left the theater, and
that happened to me once, and they gave me a voucher to go get
to go back
movie.
again.
Yeah.
I'm gonna watch it again.
Yeah, you should. I can't believe we had this podcast without you watching the climactic movie that
I did see it. It was a good movie. I could talk about any of the parts in the movie, including dropping Gamora down that.
That was hard.
pit.
Like I love that movie. I watched that movie at least 6 times. I think when it came out, I went to see it in movie theater twice, I think, and then when it came out on video, I mean on rental, I saw it like a good another 4 times or something like that. I just had it in the background, like I would.
Every time you watch it, do you just yell at
freaking Chris
Pratt's character?
Chris Pratt, yeah, it was like, come on,
just take the glove off. You're right there.
Yeah. Spider-Man was about to take it off, and it was almost done. Yeah, that was like
Tom Holland was great in that movie, Spider-Man.
Oh yeah, he's great. He's like my favorite Spider-Man. I like Tobey.
Yeah, I feel like I'm cheating him if I say that.
Yeah, but then Tobey did that horrible Spider-Man 3 movie that
was good, which I'm sure I have not seen the new Venom, but I'll probably already like Topher Grace's Venom better because.
Oh yeah, that was horrible. Poor Topher.
Yeah.
That was not his character. Not for him.
Yeah.
But Infinity War is probably one of my top.
Everybody worked so well together.
Right. I think my top 2 Marvel movies at this point.
Yeah.
It's hard to say, actually. But
Wait, we talking MCU or Marvel overall?
Marvel overall. I mean, for me, the MCU they're the best quality movies, superhero movies out there.
Mm-hmm.
I like the Sony ones a little bit. In Deadpool, but I think it's a different caliber of like just the action, the CGI, the everything.
Yeah, they make sure to make the whole experience this roller coaster.
It just, to me, is a different level.
Yeah.
Okay, so top 2 is definitely Thor because of the comedy in it.
You're talking about the original or
Ragnarok?
Yeah, okay.
Ragnarok. That's why I have the poster of it.
Yeah.
So
there is in our studio. There's a poster of Thor Ragnarok. It's the only poster on the wall.
And that was like
Taika Waititi.
Taika Waititi. I have trouble with that name.
Yeah.
Anyway, his humor I love. So we already talked about that. So that one had like the action, the
humor,
comedy.
Yeah.
And the other one is Infinity War, and they sit pretty side by side to me. Like, and the other one was more serious. It had the fun stuff in it, but I just love Thor Ragnarok. It's like such a feel good. There's then Infinity War. Underneath that is the Guardians of the Galaxy movies.
Both of them at the same level?
I think the first one was my favorite one.
Okay.
Because it was just a brand new thing,
Uh-huh.
And then after that, it would be the first Avengers, just because it was just the first time you saw a movie like that with all these superheroes, and it was just so well done.
It's pretty amazing.
So those are my favorite, and Infinity War, just to me, how well they brought all the characters. Whenever you see crossovers,
that's cool.
Usually crossovers are not very well done because you try to, like what the DC did. They try to introduce all these characters, the backstories, and it becomes crowded with all this stuff that you don't need.
Right.
That.
Well, they don't do they're each with their own movie, and then now you know their backstory, and then just bring them in, and like, oh, that's so cool. I already know who they are.
Right. But even if with some of the movies like Guardians of the Galaxy, they didn't have to go through everybody's. You don't know the backstory for every one of those characters,
right? And
they were still awesome. And in Avengers, they were supposed to have these backstory movies, but you didn't have to watch all those crappy movies from.
Hey, Rico. Can I tell you my favorites? You want to ask what my favorites?
No, I'm
not
done.
My turn?
No, I'm not done yet. So those are my favorite, and Infinity War being the culmination of all these years of watching those movies, and that's why it's like it's gonna be up there, always. And Josh Brolin did such an amazing job. Like I want to not like him, but I actually like Thanos. His logic and everything, how he thinks and everything. And
I felt the same way too. I think maybe because of how he was